This podcast is a proud member of the UUOP Network.
Your attention, please, and welcome to the Portkey Passport, a Disney podcast for adults, where we discuss all things travel, Disney, and beyond. Grab your passport, sit back, relax, and enjoy the wildest podcast in suburbia. Hosts, grab your park bags and stand clear of the doors as we dive into this episode.
Welcome to episode 44 of the Portkey Passport. I'm Tricia, and I'm here with an extra special guest tonight, Sarah. You want to introduce yourself? Yeah, from the Portkey Vacations. So we're going to hear a lot more from Sarah in just a little bit. Today, we're going to cover a couple discounts and some Disney news, and then Sarah is going to take it away with a trip review. So, hot off the presses, holiday discounts are now available. You can get up to 20% off most stays from November through December prior to Christmas. This is a great way to save some cash for the holidays. Would also be a really good early Christmas present to put under the tree in Disney. Have you ever been to Disney, Sarah?
I have. I am more of a Universal person, but I've been a handful of times and actually I'm going again this November with my in-laws.
Okay. So if you had to pick a highlight of Disney, even though you're a Universal fan, what would be a highlight of those parks?
It's been a long time since I went outside of Hollywood Studios. So that's my freshest memory, and I just think Galaxy's Edge is amazing. My husband and I are nerds. He's a major Star Wars fan, so that whole area, the theming is incredible. The food was so good. Rise of the Resistance was amazing. So yeah, Galaxy's Edge is phenomenal.
I have the right person on the show because I love Star Wars. Well, we have a little bit of Disney news here. So Level 99 in Disney Springs will be opening soon. Tickets are currently on sale, and they are sold by the time. So you can start with a block of 90 minutes, and that'll run you about $30 to upwards of $50 for a 2.5 hour block. Now, this kind of reminds me of Disney Quest way back in the day, but also I'm getting vibes that they're trying to compete against the escape rooms in City Walk. Have you ever done the escape rooms before?
Haven't. I love an escape room. They just feel a little overpriced, so I haven't bit the bullet to do it yet.
I did it with my daughter, who was no help at all at the time because she's younger. But she got to there was a device we had to carry from room to room when we did the Back to the Future. So she was the device carrier, and we were with we're like a group. It was a semi-private or whatever. So it was us and one other group of 4, and we had no idea what we were doing in half those rooms. We thought we were doing things right, and clearly we were wrong. So you would not want me on your team to escape anywhere. Additionally, in Disney Springs, they're going to be changing some of the transportation, which is currently in effect now. In order to use the bus system, you have to be a resort guest, or you have to be within a 2-hour window of a reservation at a resort for either an activity such as tile mosaic decorating or a dining a reservation. If you are outside of those things, you are no longer able to use the bus system. So we'll see how that goes. I was a little sad. I'm going to be in Orlando in September, and I'm doing HHN for the very first time. I'm a little scared. But I'm also doing Mickey's Not So Scary on a different night. And I was hoping that I could take a ride share to Disney Springs and then do just kind of kill some time in Disney Springs before taking a bus to the Contemporary, because you can walk to the Magic Kingdom from the Contemporary. But I don't have a reservation of any kind, and I'm not staying at a resort on property, so I don't think they'll let me on the buses. So I guess I'm skipping any sales they'd make in Disney Springs and just heading straight to the park instead. And one last reminder, at Magic Kingdom, the Carousel of Progress is currently closed for a lengthy refurbishment. I don't believe they have an opening date or year scheduled, and if it's Disney, it'll probably be like 2030. So it might be a while before before we get to see our beloved characters from that attraction.
Hopefully
Have you
not.
ever done? Yeah, have you ever done the Carousel of Progress?
Honestly, I can't remember. Like I said,
Fair.
it's the first time I went to Disney was eighth grade. It's like I'm from Georgia, and like the eighth grade band and chorus and orchestra will all
Mm.
go to Disney. So that was my first trip, and when I would have ridden it, and I don't remember because that was many, many moons ago.
All right. So I have a couple questions then for you so that people can get to know you as a travel agent
Hmm.
of Portkey Vacations. How long have you been a travel agent with the company?
I think I'm going on 2 years,
Okay.
I believe.
And what's one of the most exciting vacations you feel you've ever booked for someone?
I primarily book a lot of Universal, like I mentioned, and I think either two trips would be the most exciting. One is actually some really good friends of mine did their honeymoon to Epic Universe and the traditional Universal parks, and they actually were able to be the first people into Isle of Berk that
Ooh.
morning. Like they were the first people in line, and like we're so excited because they're huge How to Train Your Dragon fans. So my friends like real time texting me from line, and so that one was really fun. And then there's another one I booked a trip for um, a gentleman and his wife who have been many times, but were bringing a bunch of friends for the first time. And it was Mardi Gras, so they were doing ride and dine on the floats, and like he was just so excited to show his friends, and getting to hear about that after was great. So
Oh, that's fun.
yeah.
So, what draws you to Universal versus Disney?
Excuse me. My family growing up was a Universal family. I have two older brothers that they're really close in age, and then I'm about 7 years after them. And so it's like we had the older boys and then me, so it was more the Jurassic Park and the Star Wars and less the Disney princesses and the kind of more stereotypical Disney IPs. So I think the first time we went to the parks was 2004, so the year the Mummy opened. And then we went pretty much every summer since. So I just grew up in those parks. I think if you blindfolded me, I could still walk you through them. I know them like the back of my hand. I love them. And, you know, like I said, we did Disney in eighth grade, went again when my brother graduated high school, and then I went to Galaxy's Edge, and I'll go again this November. But I don't know, it's nostalgia and just where I grew up with my family. And actually, I turned 30 this year. And in January, my whole family, including my brothers and my sisters in law and my parents, all went to Universal for the first time as a whole group for my birthday. And so that was
Aw. See, when you have connections like that, you can't argue.
yeah. And I have nothing against Disney by any means. Um, Even as a travel agent, sometimes I still get a little tripped up with all the tickets and the lightning lanes and all the things. Like it feels a little overwhelming to me because I'm not engrossed in that. But I'm not anti Disney by any means. I've just grown up with that connection to Universal, and it's my favorite place.
I mean, if we're being fair, Universal does make at least the Express Pass a bit more accessible to use compared to the Lightning Lane system.
Yeah.
So, what's a bucket list location you would like to travel to?
New Zealand. I think if I go, I will not come home. And I actually have an aunt that lives out there, so I have an excuse to go, but no one will see me again.
Now, if correct me if I'm wrong, but was that where they filmed some of Lord of the Rings?
Yes. Yeah. You
Okay.
can do a horseback tour of Middle Earth. And if that doesn't sound like the best thing ever, I don't know what does.
You're moving into Hobbiton, so
Absolutely. Put me in the Shire. I'm here for it.
I love that. Yeah, that's high on my list as well. I've just in the last few years have started traveling more outside of the country, and I'm hoping to broaden my horizons. So
That one's just so
maybe,
hard because the flight is so long. Like it's such an
yeah,
investment to get there. So
yeah.
that's what holds me back. But boy, oh boy, I'm gonna get there one day.
I mean, if you take your approach, then you're only flying one way because you'll never
That's
come
very
back.
true. Save on the plane ticket cost. That's a good point.
All right. Well, I'm going to turn the microphone over to you. And I'd love to hear about some local travel spots near where you're from. And then also, if you have any travel stories you'd like to share about trips you've taken.
Absolutely. So, like I mentioned, I'm from Georgia. I live and have grown up in the metro Atlanta area. So, right now, I'm 25 minutes from Atlanta proper. Um, and so, where I'm at, Atlanta is a hotbed for tourists. We have the busiest airport in the country or something. I don't know if we still hold that record, but we did for a long time. So, there is a ton to do. In Atlanta itself, we have what's called the Beltline, which is an old rail corridor. It's like 22 miles long. People walk and run and rollerblade and all kinds of stuff on the Beltline. And it kind of connects two big shopping center is not quite the right word. One is called Ponce City Market and the other is Krog Street Market. But they're these shops that have like or centers that have high end shops and dining and bars. So you can get cocktails and all kinds of things. And you can walk between them or bird between them. And along the Beltline are breweries and restaurants. And so I think that's a really big one if you're visiting Atlanta, that like just get on the Beltline and you will find so many things and places to stop. And it's beautiful. We also, Atlanta is well known for Coca-Cola. The headquarters of Coke is here. So if you're downtown proper, there's the World of Coke Museum, which has a whole section where you can like sample Cokes from all over the world because apparently they don't all taste the same. I've lived here my whole life and I have never been. So that's something I need to do like a tourist in my own city day and go experience that. But yeah, the World of Coke is really cool. And then it shares a plaza with the Georgia Aquarium, which is also amazing. I feel like it holds some records and has some crazy statistics that I probably should have looked up, but it's enormous. It's beautiful. They do a lot of work for like rescuing animals that can't go back in the wild, or they'll try to rehab them and put them back into their native environments. But if they can't, then they live in the aquarium. We have a big whale shark. He's really cool. But the aquarium is amazing. I love it. If you have little kids, especially would recommend it. But you can definitely spend several hours there, and it's an awesome time. And then right next to those as well, we have a big Ferris wheel, and then Centennial Olympic Park, because the 1996 Olympics were in Atlanta. So there's a whole, it's not a fancy park, but it's a cool park. And like people bought bricks back in the day with their names on them. So my husband actually has a brick. His grandmother bought bricks for him and his cousins and his brother. So we have found them and taken a picture with his brick in Centennial Olympic Park. And over there too is the College Football Hall of Fame. So if you're a college football
Wow.
fan, you can check out the College Football Hall of Fame. Yeah, I mean, that's just the start. We also have like kind of a Central Park Junior. It's called Piedmont Park. It's massive, very similar. Like you are in the middle of the city, it's skyscrapers all around you, but this enormous green space that has soccer fields and walking trails, and there's a pool in the middle of it, bars and restaurants and stuff. So Piedmont Park is really awesome. And then we also have, Atlanta has so many incredible restaurants. Like the dining scene in Atlanta is insane. A ton of Michelin star restaurants. We have a lot of good tapas options. Um, and we also have a really big Korean population. I personally love Asian food. Korean is probably at the top of the list of the hierarchy of Asian foods. So I'm a big fan. But there's an area in like northeastern Atlanta, Buford Highway, where there's just like all kinds of very authentic Korean food. So definitely don't sleep on that.
Really interesting. I didn't realize that there was a large Korean population in
Yeah.
Atlanta.
It's kind of like bucketed. Like it's in that northeastern Buford. I'm trying to think what other. It's not Dunwoody. I'm blanking on what the other city is over there, or town. But yeah, it's amazing. We have a lot of like ethnic grocery stores, so you can get all kinds of fun ingredients and make stuff. And then where I'm at, so my little slice of Atlanta or Metro Atlanta is called Smyrna. And so if anyone listening is a Braves fan or baseball fan, the Atlanta Braves Stadium is like 2 or 3 miles from my house. And that stadium is in an area called the Battery, which again, restaurants, bars, there's an escape room, there's a distillery. They just opened a new restaurant. There's a little like Asian food hall that has ramen and sushi burritos, which I love sushi, so that's a commonplace. But that's really fun, and it's just a little bit outside of the city. And, you know, we have really great coffee shops that are all kind of tucked around. And there's a little hole-in-the-wall Italian restaurant that I can walk to from my house that's called Mezzaluna. That is, like, I think the owner is from Italy, and it is so, so good. So if you want to get a little bit outside the city, where it's a little less hectic, incredible.
Is there a good time of year, like weather-wise, to visit?
Not right now. It's so hot and humid. Atlanta is hot. I think we had a really mild spring. It didn't get hot until like mid-May. But once it's hot through the summer, it is disgusting and you feel like you are swimming walking to your car. So I would avoid this time of year through like the end of September because I went to the University of Georgia. I was in the marching band. Being at those football games until you hit like October is hot. So I think that's when it finally starts to get reasonable. But Georgia is beautiful in the fall. I think people think about like Chattanooga and Charlotte and some of these places, but like North Georgia, we have a ton of mountains. We have little towns. We have Blue Ridge and Ellijay. Dahlonega. We have all these little like North Georgia towns where there's a ton of wineries, which big wine fan. My book club took a girls trip up to the wineries one year. So like North Georgia, especially in the fall, there's also a ton of really great hiking trails. So you can like go rent a little Airbnb, go to your wineries, do your hiking, go into the cute little North Georgia towns with all their cute little shops. So, you know, it doesn't have to just be Atlanta proper to get, really, it's only like an hour, hour and a half to get up there from Atlanta. So it's not hard to do and it's beautiful. And that just made me think of something else and I'm blinking. North Georgia. Oh, there's also a little town in North Georgia called Helen, and it's like modeled after an old German town. So if you look up pictures of Helen, Georgia, it looks like it's the very stereotypical German kind of like whiter buildings with the brown wood accents and the like X patterns and stuff. And
oh my gosh, you're right. I'm looking it up right now.
So Helen is also so much fun. And the Chattahoochee River goes the whole way that far north. And so you can go up there and like tube on the Chattahoochee. And it's not like whitewater rafting. You just get in like a donut tube and like peacefully float down the river. Obviously do that when it's a little warmer because the water will be very cold if you don't. But that's a fun thing to do. When I was a Girl Scout back in the day, they would take us up to Helen for a day trip and we would tube and buy some fudge and whatever. But Helen's a cute little, like, it's not a hole in the wall. People know about it. But something that's a little different randomly in North Georgia.
Now I want to go here.
It's really cute.
Looking at these pictures. I'm like, this is the German pavilion on steroids.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I love it. It's so cute and so fun.
There's so much to Georgia that, you know, I think people think of like Atlanta and there's just so much there. I haven't had any experience yet outside of the airport where I had a layover and I thought I could walk it between my gates. I was like, An hour and a half layover. What I didn't realize is that I was going from the first gate A to whatever the international gates are, which is
Oh,
the very
uh-huh.
last gate.
Yep.
And I just kept walking, and I'm like, am I still in the state of Georgia at this point? Like, that is
Yeah.
a big airport.
At least I think from A to B is the cool rainforest walkway, though.
Yes, it is. They like turned it into, and each area it's like museum. There was like an art gallery, and I'm like, this is insane.
Yeah, the one is
What?
like statues and like African art. The other one is the rainforest. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah,
Normally,
there
if
was.
I'm gonna walk, I'm walking from T to like B. I don't walk further than that. So I really only know what those ones are.
I was I was impressed because I'll tell you, Milwaukee Airport not very big, not much to look at.
Yeah,
So
my family's from Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh Airport's the same thing. And the Orlando Airport, like it's kind of big, but it's kind of just a hub and spoke, and you can't really
yeah,
get lost.
yeah. There's not much there.
Yeah,
So
Atlanta is big. If you're traveling through Atlanta, pack your walking shoes, get on the plane train, be prepared.
now I do have to ask: do you guys have a zoo? Right?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
The zoo is actually a little bit closer to the airport. It's in like South Atlanta, in a neighborhood called Grant Park. I transparently have not been to the zoo since I was in kindergarten. There's a very cute picture of me in my kindergarten yearbook at the zoo. But we do have a zoo. I believe it's a very good zoo.
I can attest via my daughter. Once 1 week out of the summer, she gets to go on a trip with her grandparents, and we kind of let them plan it. And last summer they wanted to go. Summer, yes, because they're crazy. They wanted to go to Atlanta. They had to go to the zoo to see the pandas that were there.
Mm,
So she told me all about the pandas, which basically were like laid out on the ground because it was so hot.
yeah, yeah,
So.
it's unbearable. No, it's so hot right now.
Well, thank goodness for air conditioning. I shouldn't complain. It was only 91 in Wisconsin, which is still very warm for this
It's
part of
hotter
the
than I would have
country.
thought for Wisconsin.
Yeah. And the humidity up here often brings the mosquitoes. So,
Mhm.
we could be carried away by those at times.
Yeah, I'm trying to see what the temperature is right now. It says it's currently 84, and it's what, 8 o'clock at night?
Okay.
But we're in the mid to upper 90s all week, and then thunderstorms, so it's going to be even more humid. I can't wait. Yay! Oh, also, if you're traveling to Atlanta and driving, just be prepared that our traffic is terrible. Avoid rush hour at all cost. Um, and our public transit, that's actually probably a good thing to talk about. So we have a system called MARTA, which is our equivalent to I can't remember what it's called in Chicago. The T? Is that
Oh, yeah.
Chicago? MARTA is our public rail system. It is not anywhere near as elaborate as like a New York subway or Chicago's system is, but it will get you close to the big things that you need to get to in downtown Atlanta. But Atlanta is, if you ever hear people talk about the perimeter, that is I-285, the highway. It is an oval or a circle basically, and Atlanta is smack in the middle of it. And so MARTA doesn't really extend outside of the perimeter, but it will take you north to south, east to west. There's a bunch of different branches, but like if you're going to go to a concert or a Falcons game and you're staying somewhere near-ish to downtown, you can get to a MARTA station pretty easy. Take MARTA. There's a stop that takes you up some escalators to the door of State Farm Arena, which is where the Hawks play, but also a lot of concerts are. Also right next to Mercedes-Benz Stadium, which they're playing the World Cup there right now, where the Falcons play. So we do have public transit. It's not super extensive and amazing, but it exists and it's affordable and it's better than driving. So driving downtown is a feat, and Atlanta drivers are not the best. So just be prepared for that.
Good to know. All right. Well, I think you have a trip here you're going to talk about as well. So I'm going to let you dive into that next.
Yeah. I've also traveled international, not tons, but a handful of times. And so I, more than anything, wanted to talk through some Italy travel. And I'm going to mix actually two trips a little bit. I went when I was a senior in high school with my parents, and we went to Rome, Florence, and Venice. And that was so much fun. And we took the trains between the cities, which is just, it's easy. And Italy has a fantastic rail system. All of Europe does. But Trenitalia, which got us everywhere very simply. And also, I grew up Catholic, so seeing the Vatican was amazing. And like just all the history there was so cool. Also very touristy. If you've never been to Europe, it's kind of crazy. You have to like go off the beaten path to find things that aren't just slapped tourist things on them. But I think in Italy, Florence is my favorite place. I can't really put my finger on what it is about Florence, but there's just something, the museums, the history, the art, the architecture. Florence is just beautiful. And to sit under the Duomo with a cappuccino or whatever your little drink of choice is, Aperol Spritz, like it's so incredible. And you can walk to the top of the Duomo, and the view from the top is beautiful. And I think we did it around sunset, so just like stunningly beautiful. But also on that trip, and I think that Tricia, you will probably find this very interesting. When we were in Venice, we didn't do any of the canal boats or anything. We walked everywhere, or we did take a ferry, but we didn't do like the traditional gondola situation. But I wanted to buy a Venetian mask, and you can buy them in Rome, but they're not authentic, and you can tell they're mass produced. So I was like, when I'm in Venice, I'm buying a Venetian mask. And I found this shop, just kind of walked past it, and was like, I'm going to pop into this one. And I actually have the mask next to me. I know we're not on camera right now, but walked into the shop, picked out a mask, and the person, I don't remember exactly how, like what they said to me, but the gist of it, because they were painting little earrings, the gist of it was that they paint those earrings and they send them to Disney to sell at Epcot.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was like, that's so cool. So the tag on my little Venetian mask, the store is called Peter Pan. And it still exists from what I understand from my Googling. And so if they were to be believed, that little store I walked in makes things that are sold at Epcot.
Well, I guess I have to go and check out the Italy pavilion the next time I'm down there.
Yeah. I'm only going to Hollywood Studios when I go in November, so I can't go check it out myself. But I just thought that was really cool. And I was like, I have to find this mask before I talk to Tricia, find the brand and stuff in the store. And then I went back to Italy my first year out of college with some girlfriends I worked with. And on that trip, we did Rome. We stopped in Pisa and did the stereotypical Leaning Tower of Pisa pictures. But then we took a train up to Cinque Terre, which is on the coast. And so it essentially translates, I think, to like 5 towns. And so it is these 5 villages, 5 towns that are set kind of picture Portofino, like at Universal, the hotel, like the colorful, beautiful Italian architecture. But it's set right on the coastline, so they're kind of built into the cliffs. And you take the train to the first one, and then I think there is a train that runs, like it just goes between the 5 towns, but there was something with it when we were there that like it wasn't running to all of them or whatever the case was, but you can hike. And so we like got to our Airbnb and we ended up hiking. I don't remember how many we went between, but I just remember on that hike, we'd get to kind of an overlook. And I'd be like, nothing can be prettier than this. And then we'd get to the next overlook. And I was like, how is it prettier than the last one? And every time I was just like, how is it this beautiful? So that is something like, it's a little bit out of the way to get there. It's a little bit harder of a train ride. It wasn't anything crazy, but I would absolutely recommend if you are able-bodied and can make that hike and do that. It was so incredible. And then the village we ended in had, because it's on the water, you know, it has a little beach, but it's not a sandy beach like we're used to. It's rocks. And so there are like these, any size, but inch or two rocks that are like smooth and thin, flat rocks. And I took one as a souvenir, so I'm actually looking at it right now. And so it's like this cool rocky beach. They're really dark, like a dark gray, out in the water. And it was just beautiful. And there were like stray cats walking around, and I really like cats. So it was cute to see all the little Italian stray cats. But yeah, Cinque Terre on that trip was so, so cool. And then the most recent time I went to Italy, I actually went last April. My husband and I did a redo of our honeymoon because fast little trip story. We got married 3 years ago. We went to the Dominican Republic for our honeymoon, did an all-inclusive. It was great. But about halfway through, my husband got appendicitis and had his appendix removed in the Dominican Republic. That's a whole ordeal, and the travel agent side of me was like, always get trip insurance now, because dealing with the reimbursement for the medical expenses was something else. But
oh my gosh, I can imagine.
Yeah, that was crazy. So for our first anniversary and as a redo, we went to Europe. So we did Munich, we did Lucerne, Switzerland, and then we did Lake Como in Italy. Lucerne, Switzerland, for anyone who has read A Court of Thorns and Roses, there is a location in that book. I won't say because I don't want to spoil anything, but my husband also read those books, and he was like, this is that place. He was like, we have been transported there, and now retirement looks different, and how do we end up here? Like, Lucerne is beautiful. You're on a lake with the mountains. Oh, stunningly beautiful. Also definitely recommend that. But Lake Como, Star Wars fan Tricia, if you recall the infamous scene in Star Wars where Anakin says he doesn't like sand, that is filmed on Lake Como at a place called Villa Balbianello. And so we did a private boat tour on the lake, and we paid a little extra to stop at the villa and get off. And so we stood in that place where Padme and Anakin stand on that banister. We actually recreated the scene and have it on film. So I told you. We're so
No, actually, you're my hero right now.
I'll send it to you after this. It's pretty darn funny. But yeah, and that's also, there's a really famous clip or scene where it's a shot of Anakin from the back, and he's standing under this kind of greenery arch thing looking out over the water. That's at the same place. So there's a picture of my husband standing in the same place that Anakin was standing. So for Disney and Star Wars fans, Lake Como, again, it's 5 or 6 little towns that are kind of scattered around the lake, and there's ferries that will take you between them. So it doesn't really matter which one you stay in. And from any of them, you could rent a boat and get to the villa if you want to go experience that and see where Anakin talked about his dislike of sand.
Oh my goodness, that is so cool.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's any other big highlights and stuff to talk about. Yeah, Lucerne was incredible. So beautiful. I believe there's also some good hiking and stuff there. We were not on a hiking type of trip, so we were just eating and drinking and doing cool things that way to explore the cities. Munich has I think it's called the Munich Residence, and it's where the old government would be, and so we did a tour through that, and that was really neat. But in the Munich Residence, there's a vault basically that has a bunch of religious artifacts, and so in there, I don't know if you've ever traveled, you said you've been branching out to more international travel, but if you've ever been to the places that are religiously historic, there's always mummies and preserved whatever things of historic people. But in this vault was a lot of that kind of stuff. And so theoretically, one of those things was John the Baptist's hand. And that's crazy. if that's actually what that is. And so, like, just such a weird, random thing we kind of stumbled into,
Yeah.
but like so cool.
It Do you have any like insight on going from different countries in Europe? Like, was that challenging? Did you guys fly? What did you find to be the best way to move between the countries?
We did trains for all of it and
Okay.
had no issue. They will, because it's all the EU, like it's not difficult. It's not like the train stops at the border and checks anything. Um, on those trains, they would have someone come by just to check your ticket, but I don't think he ever checked our passports to like verify that we never got passport stamps going between the countries or anything. It was more so like, are you on the right train? Are you allowed to be here? So that that was really it. But the train system in Europe is just so nice. The Swiss trains are very punctual. Like the Swiss make the watches and they run everything on time. So their trains like left the second they were supposed to. Um, but yeah, the trains were I think the way to go. They're affordable. You can pay a little bit more to have like first class and a reserved seat. If not, it's kind of first come first serve on your seat. But there's little racks to stow your luggage, and they'll come by if it's a long enough train ride and offer you drinks or food that you can purchase. Um, and thinking about the trains reminded me that one thing we did in Switzerland that I would also a million times over recommend is we went paragliding. So kind of like skydiving, except you don't jump out of a plane. uh, we like took a little train to, I mean, it was maybe a half-hour train ride. It wasn't long. Um, the train stop was kind of in the middle of nowhere, and they picked us up in a van and drove us to a gondola. And so we rode the gondola up to the top of the mountain. And at the top, randomly, were like a bunch of llamas and goats and stuff. Like whoever owned that land had these like fenced in animals. So I was just petting some llamas before we went. But you start from, you're like on an incline and you're in a harness and you're all strapped in and you have your guide, like your tandem paragliding. And they lay the parachutes out flat behind you. So they're just laying on the floor, all spread out, ready to go. And then you just kind of like walk down the hill. And as you walk, the parachute naturally goes into the air. So by the time you get to like the drop off, you're already elevated. So I maybe took 10 steps and my feet were already not on the ground. And then you just like gently float to the bottom. And it took a while. Like they control it so you're not just free falling like you're skydiving. But that was absolutely incredible. There was no feeling of like your stomach going into your throat or whatever. If you don't like heights, maybe don't do it. But I mean, we were in the Alps and it was so incredibly beautiful. And there was like a waterfall and a rainbow. And he let me drive for a second. So I got to hold the handles.
Cool.
Yeah. And then the guy that my husband was with, at one point, my guy was named Emmy, and he was so sweet. And he was like, "Do you get motion sick?" And I said, "No. Like, I like roller coasters. I'm good." And so he like did a little bit of side to side kind of swinging, and I was like, "Oh, that was fun." I look up at my husband, and his guy asked him the same thing, and he was like, "Yeah, let's go for it." They're like doing corkscrews and circles and almost upside down. I was like, "What are you doing? Stop. You're a lunatic." But yeah, that was so cool. And one of those, like, I get kind of once in a lifetime, like you could do it again, but how often are you in Switzerland doing something like that?
True.
So if you're there and can stomach some heights, paragliding somewhere in Europe, because there's lots of mountains, was so cool.
Hey, the way you described that, I hate heights, but you've like talked me into at least considering this if I'm ever in an area that offers that.
Mm-hmm.
That's so
I'll
cool.
send you some pictures of that too.
I feel like that would be a good like entry level kind of daredevil activity because it's slower than just
Mhm.
plummeting.
Yeah.
So
No, there really wasn't any plummet. You were just kind of off the ground. Kind of like soaring.
I could do Sora. So
It was kind of like that.
how much time would you recommend, or how much time did you spend, like days were you on your vacations?
I think for each of those trips to Europe total, I was there for 7 or 8 days. And I think that's a good amount of time. And for each of those trips, I was jumping between cities. So it's not like I was in one city for 8 days. I think I probably spent 2 to 3 days in each city because you kind of lose your travel day with time differences and stuff,
Yeah.
jet lag. Um, so yeah, I think depending on how many places you want to see, a week is what I would recommend, maybe a little bit longer.
Okay. And how did you combat the jet lag?
My dad traveled a lot for work growing up, and his thing was always just like try to push through. And so I learned that from him, and you just go as long as you can. I think when we got to Munich, by the time I'm trying to remember how long we were up that first day, it was a long time. We took a late flight, I think, so we could try and sleep on the plane. But I want to say we were up for like 20 hours or something, and we
Ooh.
finally went to bed at 6 p.m. Munich time. Like it was early to go to bed then, but we were like exhausted, and we were like, this is close enough. We made the mutual agreement. We'll make it to whatever time, and we're going to bed.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot of hours to be awake.
It is. It is a lot of hours.
Was there anything that like you learned like, oh, I could have done that better, or anything that you found surprising when you were on these vacations?
Question. If anything really stands out to me, I think like nothing felt like it went wrong. Nothing was like, oh, that could have been different or better. Because I'm on a trip like that, like you're spending a lot of time and a lot of money. And so you want things to go well. But I'm also in a headspace of like, I'm in Europe and I'm having a great time. So I'm like not focusing on the negative. Um, I think when you're over there, like being cognizant that pickpockets are a real concern. So having bags that like I don't go crazy and buy like the super lock pick proof whatever bags, but just being aware to not have your suitcase that has a million pockets on the outside or purses that are really easy to get to. So I think those are just like little things to think about while you're there. Um, Italy does have, I don't know if it's everywhere, but Rome has a lot of like free flowing water fountains essentially. Like they're from the old aqueducts. And so if you have a water bottle, you can just fill those up there. Um, Another thing for Europe is that very often there's not public restrooms. And so if there is one, you sometimes have to like pay €1 or €2 to open the door and use it, or you have to like buy something from a little cafe to use their restroom. So the trip with my parents, we bought like a lot of hot chocolates and a lot of espressos to use the bathroom. Um, so there's like little things like that that you don't really think about, but nothing like big stands out as a I should have done that.
Well, those are some great tips, though, that people who haven't traveled to Europe probably don't know about. So thank you for sharing that.
Of course. Don't lose your passport.
Is there a
My,
story here?
there is.
Uh oh.
The middle trip I took with my girlfriends that I worked with, one of them, the day before we flew home, lost her passport. And that
Oh
was a
no.
whole debacle. Um, she she said she was pickpocketed. the theme of that trip was her losing things. Like, we were in Florence, got a ticket on the bottom floor of a museum that you had to show on the second floor of the museum to get in. And then she had to like dump out her whole purse to find it. I was like, it's been 100 yards. How did you lose this ticket? I think she lost the passport, but she said it was pickpocketed. Either way, the day before we left, she no longer had a passport. And so we ended up at the U.S. Embassy trying to get her an emergency passport. And they made it happen. I think because she had proof there was a flight, like she got a temporary emergency passport. She may have missed her flight and had to get one a few hours later. I don't remember, but yeah, keep your passport in the safest place you possibly can. From losing, from pickpocketing, like you don't want to be in that situation.
Okay. That is a very good tip. Okay.
Yeah.
That's like my biggest fear when I'm traveling internationally. Like I will, if I try to travel light when I'm out in public, and like, I don't know, I think they call them like slings or whatever, where I keep it's a small, essentially when I was growing up, it was called a fanny pack, but now you like wear it over one shoulder and you can have it more like under your arm or like in the front of your body. So I try to pack light when I'm out in public, but I will like constantly check to make sure that like my passport is like still in my bag. And like, I don't know, I have like horrible visions of being stranded somewhere, and everyone else in my family is like, okay, well, we're going home now. Like, good luck.
And I mean, like, Italy's not the worst place to get stuck, but I don't speak Italian.
Yeah, right. Well, I really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing some of your experiences. And if there are people who are interested in like checking out your social media, do you have a way to be followed on socials?
I do. I have one more thought before I say that, because I was looking at pictures that I was going to send you of paragliding, also from Germany. So I'm sorry to divert us back.
That's fine.
But there is a very famous castle that people have probably seen pictures of, and it is theoretically the inspiration for Cinderella's castle. So we did a tour to that one. It's called, I don't speak German, so I will butcher this pronunciation, but it's Neuschwanstein Castle. And that was a really cool tour experience we did. And we like got on a charter bus and had a tour guide that talked to everyone on the charter bus, and we went and did the castle tour. But yeah, Neuschwanstein, there's like a bunch of puzzles of it, and it's definitely something really familiar. You've seen pictures of it, and they say it was the inspiration for Cinderella's castle. So that's another cool thing from the Munich area that you can do.
So you finally got to do something with the Disney princesses.
Yes. Yes. No, that one was really neat. But anyway, sorry, I digress. Socials. Yes, so I am on Facebook and Instagram as Sarah's Flu Network. But Instagram is funny, so it's Sarah_Flu, FLOO_network. And then Facebook is normal because you can use punctuation and there's an apostrophe. So Sarah's Flu Network under the Portkey umbrella.
So listeners, go check out Sarah's socials. And if you are interested in booking a trip, you can find both myself and Sarah on the Portkey Vacations website. And if you've had a recent trip and you're interested in sharing your trip report with us, we'd love to hear from you. You can reach out to us at Portkey Passport at portkeyvacations.com, and we'd love to hear your trip report. Again, thank you, Sarah, for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
If you're looking for a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, continue to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Just search the Portkey Passport. Want in on the antics? Send us a transmission at portkeypassport@portkeyvacations.com with your comments and questions. Listen and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and everywhere else podcasts are found. And feel free to leave a cast compliment in a review. Plan your next magic adventure by contacting your favorite Portkey Vacations agent at portkeyvacations.com. Podcasts assemble on the UUOP Network, the unofficial Universal Orlando podcast, Rush of Fear, a Halloween Horror Nights podcast, the Taste of Universal podcast, the unofficial Universal United Kingdom podcast, Big Dumb Stuff and Theme Park Duo for West Coast news and updates. And check out our network partner, The Fudge Factor, on YouTube for park vlogs.